Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to 14 things to do in Memphis, Tennessee. A few months ago I was doing lots of reactions to like people exploring US cities and like things to do in these US cities or certain states. I think I've done a few as well, but mainly on cities. And I was really enjoying it and I just suddenly stopped. So I thought, you know what? Let's bring it back. And I'm going to start with Memphis, Tennessee, because I didn't look at Memphis before. I hear a lot of mixed reviews about Memphis. A lot of negative, a lot of stuff to do with crime. But these videos are all about seeing the positives of some of these cities, you know? So we're going to see that now. Hopefully you're going to enjoy. If you're from Memphis, maybe you can just be like, yeah, disregard all of this, no matter what. It's a hellhole here. Or you like Memphis and you don't agree with all the negative news, although a lot of it's probably like reports on like crimes and stuff. But yeah, you know what? I'm here with an open mind, and I am going to be hopefully doing more of these reactions again and getting back into like doing city reactions and stuff, because I do really enjoy this stuff, just to see the ins and outs of some of America's major cities and also states. But let's jump into this and see some of Memphis.
Memphis, Tennessee is the second largest city in the state behind Nashville and is a city full of music and cultural history, nightlife, museums, and food. I didn't know what to expect before I spent a week in the city, but I really loved exploring Memphis, and I found a lot of great spots all throughout it.
That's a class.
I'm splitting this video into two as I want to cover Memphis food in its own video, but let's jump into some of my favorite spots. And
fuck, he's not going to the food now. Damn it, man. I would love to see that. Although I've done a reaction to Memphis barbecue, so I mean, I can see that it's got some very good food.
Memphis, Tennessee, and let me know what I left off in the comments.
What the hell?
Also, some places do not allow video recordings, so you will see a couple spots in this video that are only photos because of that.
Fairs.
First up, we have Beale Street. Beale Street is the nightlife center of Memphis and is home to bars, restaurants, history, and entertainment. During the day, you can walk the street, grab some food, see the big guitars, or get an old-fashioned soda at A. Schwab. At night, you see a whole new part of the city though, with street performers like the Beale Street Flippers. Plus, there's music in almost every bar, and on the weekends you will surely find some fantastic local acts like I did. I enjoyed Beale Street a lot as it felt more laid back than Broadway Street, its neighbor Party Street in Nashville. I had a great time during my mini visits to Beale Street both at day and at nighttime. Next up, we have the Peabody Ducks, one of the quirkiest parts of the city's history.
Oh my god, that duck thing, those ducks in the elevator actually just wasn't just for this video, it's actually just a thing.
Spend their day in the fountain in the lobby of the hotel, but what makes it such an event is the parade they do from their posh duck palace on the hotel roof down to the lobby in the morning and back up in the evening. They literally roll out the red carpet for the ducks, and then they ride the elevator each way. The event has a duck master who walks everyone through the history and leads the ducks on their path. People start lining up for this almost an hour before it happens, and I have to say I had a lot of fun with it.
That is pretty cute, I'll be honest.
My next recommendation is the National Civil Rights Museum. The National Civil Rights Museum focuses on the civil rights movement from the 17th century to the present. The museum is a sobering experience that you need to plan at least a half day for. It features many well laid out exhibits which show the progression of African American rights in the country and spotlight many of the essential moments in the cause. The museum was built in the hotel where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot, and it allows you to see the room he stayed in and learned all about the process of finding his killer. Like I said, you need a lot of time for this one, and it's a very moving experience that you can't leave Memphis without seeing.
It's a fascinating place.
Next up, we have Graceland, Elvis Presley's home in Memphis.
God damn, Memphis has got everything. There's a lot of historical things to do with Memphis, isn't there? Damn.
This sprawling property allows guests to tour his home and to see how it was decorated while he lived there. It's a blast to see, and you're given an audio tour on an iPad that tells you about each of the rooms you're looking at. After exploring the home, you can see a half dozen museums on the property dedicated to everything from his cars and his stage outfits to his gold records. Jesus. They also have two of his planes on display, and you can walk into each.
He had two planes?
One. It's amazing to see how his plane was decorated and that he called it his Graceland in the sky. I learned a ton about Elvis on this tour, and I really enjoyed it. It is expensive though, so know that going in. Next up, we have Sun Studio. Sun Studio is one of the two world-renowned music studios in Memphis. This small studio was the first to record Elvis and was where both he and Johnny Cash recorded many of their hits, among other artists as well. The studio is open for guided tours which take you through an upstairs area where there's memorabilia and photos from the studio's history. The tour was a blast as we listened to music from many of the artists, heard stories about the production, and learned about Elvis' roots. The tour also goes into the recording studio where you can take photos with the equipment and take photos with the microphone that was actually used to record some of these famous songs.
No way.
It was a great 1-hour tour that I enjoyed, and you can get a really good understanding of the Memphis area's impact on music with a tour of Sun Studio and our next recommendation, Stax. Next up, the Stax Museum sits on the same location that the Stax recording studio once did. The museum is easily the best music museum I saw while I was in Memphis, and I loved learning all about the history of soul music and how Stax eventually helped many famous artists in the genre to flourish. Stax Recording Studio recorded artists like Isaac Hayes, Otis Redding, and Sam and Dave, just to name a few, with songs like Sitting on the Dock of the Bay coming out of the studio. You can easily spend a few hours here and make sure you don't leave without seeing Isaac Hayes' Cadillac, which is pretty spectacular. Following that, we have the Big River Crossing. The Big River Crossing is a great active recommendation on this list. The bridge is one of the longest pedestrian bridges in the United States and the longest that crosses the Mississippi River. It's almost a mile across, and at the halfway point, you will actually go from Tennessee to Arkansas. I walked the whole bridge one afternoon, and there were a lot of people and families all enjoying this walk with great views of the city. It's a fun spot to be active in Memphis.
Got the massive pyramid.
Next up, you have the Bass Pro Pyramid. When you see the city skyline, you'll no doubt notice the large pyramid. It was once an auditorium, but it's now a Bass Pro Shop. I love Bass Pro Shops, so I was excited to see this one, and it really is incredible on the inside. There's also a hotel here that has many rooms that face the Bass Pro Shop from above,
That is mad.
which is really cool and has that swamp type vibe while still being completely inside. Plus, you can pay to go to the top of the pyramid, which has a restaurant and 2 balconies that you can go out on.
Damn.
The balconies are a great way to view the city, and our next recommendation, Mighty Lights. Mighty Lights is a light show that happens right on the 2 bridges that cross over into the downtown area of the city.
Okay.
At night, the bridge is lit up a solid color, but every 30 minutes there's a 10-minute show where the bridge slowly changes to different colors and even had a Go Grizzlies sign when they were in the playoffs. The top of Bass Pro is a great spot to watch this show from, but you can see it from all around the riverfront as well. It's supposedly the biggest nightly light show on the Mississippi River, and it is a lot of fun to see. Next up, we have Mud Island. Speaking of the riverfront, Mud Island Park is one of the best places to walk along it. This island is right across from downtown Memphis, and it has a monorail that you can take to it, which wasn't open when I went, and a museum and walking path that you can explore. The walking path is great as it has a topographical small-scale representation of the Mississippi River as it runs its entire course to the sea.
That is actually really cool. That must have taken ages to
Small-scale representation of the Mississippi River as it runs its entire course to the sea.
I love that.
You can walk the whole thing and see all of its bends plus the big cities that it passes.
Wow.
It's surprisingly long, and it took me about 15 minutes to trace it all the way to the end. Certainly a fun thing to do while exploring the riverfront in Memphis.
That is actually really cool.
Next up, we have the Crosstown Concourse. The Crosstown Concourse is an apartment building mixed with storefronts, gyms, and a restaurant. It started
An apartment building mixed with stores, gyms, and a restaurant. What the heck?
its life as a Sears distribution center and store in the 1920s until it closed in the 1980s. It fell into disrepair after that, and eventually the building was bought and revitalized. Today it feels more like a community meeting place, and it's fun just to walk the halls of this historic structure while looking at the art on display and trying the many different restaurants. I personally like the burgers at Farm Burgers, but you can get everything from coffee to ice cream as you're exploring. Let me know what it's like to live there if you do in the comments.
Interesting place to live.
Following that, we have the Memphis Zoo.
Can't go wrong with
The
a zoo.
Memphis Zoo is over 100 years old and is home to over 500 species of animals. It's often voted one of the best zoos in the United States, and it's easy to see why when you visit. The zoo here is massive, and it has a huge variety of animals on display, ranging from lions and elephants to hippos and polar bears.
Polar bears?
All of the animals were pretty active when I went,
Memphis?
and the exhibits are massive and pristine. The zoo is one of 4 zoos in the United States that has giant pandas as well, so if you want to see a panda in real life, this is a great place to see one. My favorite area was the nighttime enclosure, as I have never seen the nocturnal animals as active as they were here.
Oh, wow.
There's even a wide area where bats can fly, which is especially cool. You need at least a half day to see the whole zoo, but as far as zoos go, it's a pretty great one.
I love zoos, man. But I've never been to a zoo of polar bears or fucking black bears or brown bears, to be honest. Anything like that.
Next up, we have Shelby Farms. Shelby Farms is a sprawling urban park that encompasses over 4,500 acres. It has mini lakes with boating activities, horse stables for trail rides, a fantastic children's playground, and even a herd of buffalo. This is all in addition to the miles of green space for nice weekend drives and the biking and hiking trails that cross throughout the park. It's one of those places that you'll find tons of people enjoying on a nice spring day, and it's easy to see why, as there's a lot of room to spread out all throughout the public park. Lastly, I wanted to mention the Crystal Grotto because it's so unique. This area was built in the 1930s and is the only man-made crystal cave I've ever heard of. It sits in the middle of the Memphis Memorial Park Cemetery, and it's pretty incredible to see. Outside of the cave sits a beautiful pond with a fountain in the middle and a hollowed out tree. Inside, you'll find yourself in a good-sized cave that has multiple different artistic representations of Jesus' life and ministry, all surrounded by quartz crystals hanging from the walls. There are many
This must have taken so long to make.
different colorful lights shining on the crystals, creating an almost psychedelic experience in the cave. I love this sort of thing when I travel, and I was excited to see it here, and I'm glad it's been so well preserved. So there you have it, some of my favorite things to do in Memphis.
This wasn't really an exploring one though, was it? I'm gonna have to do another one then, because I wanted to see one about exploring the streets of Memphis and stuff. That's my bad for selecting this video. I mean, it was cool in showing the things to do there, and I saw definitely saw parts of it. I want to select the downtown though, and just parts of it like that. But well, then maybe the Bass Pro Pyramid. Does that show the downtown? That might do. But yeah. I live in Miami, but I've decided to make Memphis my second home. The people are so full of friendship and harmony of it. I am also a Vols fan. I'm dreading moving to Memphis from Florida for work. This video made me feel a little bit better about it. Damn. 15, go to the Tilted Towers. I live in Memphis and you've made me want to take a staycation in my own town. There is still a feel of fun in Memphis, and if there is a street fair, go. But there we go. If you're from Memphis, let me know. I do hear a lot of negative things about this place, but obviously with all major cities, you're going to have the negative sides of it. But at the same time, there's so much to a lot of major cities that, firstly, there's going to be a lot of nice areas to visit in all major cities. But secondly, the weather's good, for example. So you can do a lot of stuff that you can just enjoy. It's not all just negative, but I do want to do a video fully focusing on Memphis is actually just exploring Memphis as a whole, but that'll obviously be the next one. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and until next time, subscribe. Peace.